Good day, Philippines. Hello, Region 1. Aloha, San Carlinian learners. Airing live from the Mangrove and Blue capital of the Philippines, San Carlos City. You're tuning into CCN Broadcast Center, a virtual home of every SDO-SEC learner, where passion is the key. Learning paves the way. With our division mantra, developing creativity, maximizing versatility. This is your CCN Broadcast Center. CCN Broadcast Center, a virtual home of every SDO-SEC learner.
Hello there, my grade 6 learners. How are you today? It's science class. I'm teacher Leslie. Join me for another fun-filled adventure into the beautiful realms of science. You are watching live via Carlos and Carly Network, or CCN, the home of every San Carlinian learner. So, let's get started. Please prepare your Science 2 or Science 6 Quarter 2 Module 6 together with your pen and paper. Are you ready? Our objective: discuss the interactions among living things and non-living things in tropical rainforests, coral reefs, and mangrove swamps. Class, in our previous lesson, we have learned about vertebrates and its characteristics. So, what are vertebrates? Correct! Vertebrates are animals with backbone. This time, what are invertebrates? Invertebrates are animals without backbones. This time, let's have a guessing game. First question: what animals live in water with gills, fins, and scales? What is your guess? Of course, fishes. These are cold-blooded animals covered with scales. What animals with wings, feathers that love to fly? Any guess? That's right. The answer? Birds. These are warm-blooded animals hatched from egg or oviparous. What group of vertebrates is a frog? Any guess? You're correct. These are amphibians. They spend part of their lives in water and part on land. Congratulations for that, kids! And for today's lesson, ecosystem, the interactions among living and non-living things in tropical rainforests, coral reefs, and mangrove swamps. But before that, let us test first your abilities. Are you ready, kids? First question: what are the things needed by plants to make their own food? Is it A, chemicals and oxygen, B, chemicals, oxygen, and water, C, carbon dioxide and oxygen, and D, carbon dioxide, soil, and sunlight? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ball pens up. The correct answer is letter D, carbon dioxide, soil, and sunlight. Did you get it correctly? I hope so. Next, number 2. Why is producer important in an ecosystem? A, it breaks down organisms into smaller particles. B, it is a series of feeding relationships. C, it is an organism that eats plants. And D, it is the source of food to the consumers. What is your answer? Ball pens up. The correct answer is letter D. It is the source of food to the consumers. This time, let's try the third question. Blank results from the interconnected food chains. Is it A, biotic component, B, consumer, C, food web, and D, producer? And the correct answer is, of course, food web. There you have it, kids. This time, have you ever been to a forest? How will you describe this kind of ecosystem? That's right. There are living things and non-living things. How do living and non-living things interact in this ecosystem? We will find out as we progress with our lesson. Ecosystem is an environment where both living and non-living things exist and interact with one another. One good example of an ecosystem is the tropical rainforest. Living things that can be found here composed of plants and animals. Non-living things include soil, air, humidity, water, and sunlight. We have the different layers of a rainforest. We have emergent, canopy, understory, and the forest floor. For the emergent layer, it refers to the trees that are 130 to 180 feet tall. For canopy, or the second layer, we have or has tall, slender trees from a dense platform of vegetation with 60 to 129 of the ground, or 129 feet of the ground. Next is understory. It is about 59 feet and below and consists of trunks, canopy, shrubs, trees, and small trees as well. And for the last layer, we have the forest floor, which is the home to animals like jaguars, tigers, and cassowaries, which thrive in a deep shade part of the forest where plant life is thin. This time, class, what do we mean by producers? You're right. Producers provide food for the consumers, which include the herbivores or the plant-eating animals, and of course, the carnivores or the flesh-eating animals. Feeding relationships like food chain and food web occur among species in the forest's ecosystem. Food chain starts with producer, a series of consumers, and decomposers. While food web results from the interconnected food chains. Now, what are the interactions that exist among the tropical forests? Can you name one? Let's try this example. What can you see in the picture? That's right. We have orchids which are attached to the branch of a tree or a coconut tree. That interaction is called commensalism. Now, what is commensalism? Commensalism is an interaction where organisms live together without harming one another. Let's try another one. What can you see in that picture? That's right. We have that the butterfly sucks nectar from the flower while the flower still blooms. And that relationship is called mutualism. That's right. So mutualism, both organisms benefit in the relationship. It's like us, your teacher, and my students. This time, how about in this picture? You can see grass, shrubs, flowers, and trees grow together in one area. And that relationship is called competition. Why? Because competition is an interaction wherein organisms compete for survival. This time, what can you see in that picture? So we have the predator and the prey. Predator usually organisms which are stronger, bigger, and fiercer compared to the prey. That is predation. Predation is a kind of interaction in which one organism kills smaller organisms for food. This time, what kind of ecosystem is in the picture? You're right. That is a coral reef. A coral reef is rich with marine life and is also a marine biome. It is composed of living and non-living things, and the living part is composed of different species like fish, we have the seagrass, corals, sponges, and other marine animals. Now, in coral reefs, organisms interact with each other. The producers or the seagrass provide food and nutrients to the consumers, such as we have there the sea turtles or sea turtle, the crabs, and I know you know this, manatees or dugong, and other marine animals. So for coral reefs, it has different categories, namely, any wild guess, class? Correct. The first one is fringing reefs. The second one is barrier reefs. And the third is coral atolls. The first example is fringing reefs. These are reefs that hug the shore of continents or islands. The second one is the barrier reefs. We have here in the Philippines the Great Barrier. Are you familiar with it? Or not just in the Philippines? These are reefs that stand between the open sea and a lagoon. And the third one, which is the coral atolls. These are reefs that enclose a lagoon. So there are interactions that exist in coral reefs ecosystem, like in the rainforest. So what can you see in the picture, class? Correct. There is a turtle and the barnacles. The barnacles attach to the skin of turtles without harming them. Barnacles are benefited while the host is not harmed. And that relationship or interaction is called commensalism. This time, what can you see in that picture? Correct. The corals receive oxygen from the algae, and the algae get protection from them. And that relationship or interaction is about mutualism. How about in this video or short video? What can you notice? There's a big fish and a small fish, right? That is what you call competition. Why? Because the fishes compete for source of food and space in the coral reefs. Another interaction is the predator or predation. The predator, which is the big fish, benefits in the interaction while the prey or a small fish is harmed. So sad for that. Class, what do you call a home to a diverse living and non-living things? Any wild guess? You're right. These are called mangrove swamps. Mangrove swamps is an important, or mangrove swamp is an important system that allows for the breeding of fishes and survival of the marine animals. The non-living part is composed of water, sand, mud, rocks, and sunlight. There are varieties of marine and terrestrial life living in mangroves. You have any idea? The first one is an example of, correct, white heron or tagak. How about this? The crabs or the crustaceans. We also have the oysters or mussels. Another, how about monitor lizard? I'm afraid of those. Another is, we have the pelicans. We usually see this. And of course, the saltwater crocodiles, which is also available in the Philippines. Fishes stay in the mangroves during a particular stage of their life to grow and develop into a mature fish. And that is commensalism. As you can see there in the picture, barnacles and oysters attach themselves to the roots of the mangroves. How about this example? We have animals like crabs and mollusks help break down plant litter in a mangrove ecosystem through grazing. And that relationship is about mutualism. Next, as you can see in the picture, the white heron eating a fish, and that relationship or interaction is called predation. So class, let's have a short wrap up of what we have learned earlier. So first question is, what is an ecosystem? What is your idea? That is right. An ecosystem is an environment where both living and non-living things exist and interact with one another. You have also your own ecosystem at home, right? So examples of ecosystem, we have tropical rainforests, coral reefs, and mangrove swamps. So interactions that exist among tropical rainforests, coral reefs, and mangrove swamps. The first one is commensalism, like what we have said earlier, that these are organisms live together without harming each other. That was the first one. And then the second one is mutualism, where both organisms are benefited in the relationship. The third one is predation, or organisms kill smaller animals for food. And the last one is competition, wherein organisms compete for survival. Now, grade 6 learners, and of course to our online viewers, why should we protect and conserve our rainforests, coral reefs, and mangrove swamps? Correct. The preservation of rainforests is the most important thing against the loss of biodiversity and the current, of course, climate change. Together, the coral reefs and mangrove swamps form a barrier that protects shorelines from any destruction like winds or typhoons. So see, and of course, we could not live without these ecosystems. So great job for you kids. I do hope you already know about the ecosystems. This time, let's have the first activity. Identify the interactions between the given pair of organisms in column A and the interactions in column B. So the first column, we have the sea urchin corals, relationship with barnacles to turtle, the worm to fish, tuna fish and blue marlins, and the clownfish and sea anemone. So I'll be giving you 10 seconds. Time's up. Let's reveal your answers. For number 1, sea urchin corals, what is the relationship or interaction? That is right. Mutualism, letter A. And for number 2, we have barnacles to turtle. That is commensalism. Let's move on. Worm to fish. Yes, class, that is parasitism. It is somewhat related to predators, but there's a host in that particular example. Next, for number 4, we have tuna fish and blue marlins. The answer is, again, commensalism. Did you got it right? And for the last one, we have the clownfish and sea anemone. We have mutualism. Is it 5 out of 5? Wait, there's more. For the second activity, pick out the animals that can be found in mangrove swamps or ecosystem. So we have here some examples like monitor lizard, white heron or tagak, fiddler crab, dolphin, corals, oysters, snakes, saltwater crocodiles, rat, and sea urchin. So you are going to list down or pick the animals that can be found, of course, in a mangrove swamp ecosystem. Are you ready? Let's do this. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Ballpens up. These are the correct answers. You can see monitor lizard, white heron or tagak, fiddler crab, oysters, and saltwater crocodiles in mangrove swamps ecosystem. Congratulations, kids! And this time, I know that you are now ready to answer the assessment area. Let's do this. Are you ready? The first question is, what kind of interaction is shown when one organism kills another organism for food? A, commensalism, B, mutualism, C, parasitism, D, predation. What is your answer, kids? The correct answer is predation. That is right. Let's move on to the second question. It is in an environment where both living and non-living things exist and interact with one another. Is it A, community, B, ecology, C, ecosystem, or D, population? Ballpens up. And the correct answer is, of course, ecosystem. This time for the third question. Blank results from the interconnected food chains. A, biotic component. B, consumer. C, food web. And D, producer. What is your answer? Answer reveal, we have food web. Question number 4. What kind of interaction is shown when animals like crabs and mollusks help break down plant litter in a mangrove ecosystem through grazing? I know you know it. A, commensalism, B, competition, C, mutualism, and D, parasitism. And answers reveal, we have mutualism. They both benefit with each other. And for our last question, why is producer important in an ecosystem? Is it A, it breaks down organisms into smaller particles? B, it is an organism that eats plants? C, it is a series of feeding relationships? And D, it is a source of food to the consumers? For the last round, we have letter D. It is the source of food to the consumers. Great job, kids! Congratulations once again for a job well done to all grade 6 learners, be it virtually. And no copyright infringement intended for these or for the photos. Credits to the rightful owner. And once again, this is Teacher Leslie, your demo teacher, broadcaster of Central 2 Elementary School, and I hope to see you all guys for the coming weeks. In the meantime, let's stay safe. Bye!
Good day, Philippines. Hello, Region 1. Aloha, San Carlinian learners. Airing live from the Mangrove and Blue capital of the Philippines, San Carlos City. You're tuning into CCN Broadcast Center, a virtual home of every SDO-SEC learner, where passion is the key. Learning paves the way. With our division mantra, developing creativity, maximizing versatility. This is your CCN Broadcast Center. CCN Broadcast Center, a virtual home of every SDO-SEC learner.